Today, AMD revealed their new line of Radeon RX 6000 series GPUs. This series was rumored to be AMD's response to Nvidia's 3000 series cards and bring enthusiasts back into AMD's good graces. Will the RDNA 2 architecture at the heart of these cards help AMD achieve this? According to AMD, yes. Hi everybody, welcome to the show. I'm here for the tech. Lisa Su started the presentation by talking up AMD's Big Navi chip, boasting 26.8 billion transistors, 30% faster frequencies, and includes what AMD calls Infinity Cache, more on that later, all built with a 7nm process, which is the same as the first RDNA. Somewhat surprising, but on paper, it looks like AMD's been able to squeeze every last bit of performance out of the process, with claims of double the performance of the last gen cards. This also brings performance per watt of over 50% improvement. AMD showed off 3 cards to go against their rival, the first being the RX 6800 and 6800 XT. The RX 6800 has 60 compute units, 1815 MHz clock, 2105 MHz boost clock, 128 megabytes of Infinity Cache, and 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM, all at 250 watts, 30 watts more than the card's direct competitor, the RTX 3070. Speaking of the 3070, AMD chose to show performance graphs with their 6800 cards going up against the RTX 2080 Ti instead of the 3070. Presumably because AMD couldn't get their hands on a card in time for the presentation, or perhaps the charts wouldn't have been quite as impressive. Only speculation on my part. But what isn't speculation is that AMD claims a whopping 18% performance improvement in games run at 4K and 1440p. AMD priced the card at $579, which does make it more expensive than the 3070, but only marginally so. The touted performance improvement over their competition may justify the additional cost to the consumer. The RX 6800 XT is meant to be their flagship card directly going up against Nvidia's RTX 3080. The board boasts 72 compute units, a 2015 MHz clock, and a 2205 MHz boost clock. It contains the same amount of RAM in the cache as the 6800, but is more power hungry at 300 watts. However, this is actually less power consumption than the 3080. What is impressive here is despite the decrease in power consumption over the competitor, according to AMD, the performance is almost at par, with some games' performance being slightly above or below what the 3080 can do at 4K and 1440p. With a suggested price of $649, this brings the card in at $50 less than the Founders Edition 3080. Considering that the 3080 was already priced competitively compared to the previous generation's RTX cards, this is AMD accepting the challenge after Nvidia previously dropped the gauntlet. The last card announced is the RX 6900, a surprising entry meant to compete directly with Nvidia's juggernaut and insanely expensive RTX 3090. The 6900 brings up the compute units to 80 while having the same frequencies, cache, RAM, and most surprisingly the same power consumption as the 6800 XT. The 3090's TDP, by comparison, is 50 watts higher. Once again, according to AMD's own testing, the 6900 can hold its own when placed directly up against the 3090. Gaming in 4K and 1440p, just like the situation with the 6800 XT, the 6900 is almost at par with the 3090. AMD has not only accepted the challenge from Nvidia, but they raised the stakes. Are you sitting down? AMD has priced the 6900 at a jaw-dropping $999. This is an astounding $500 cheaper than Nvidia's offering. If the benchmarks are to be believed, the 6900 is an insane value if you're an enthusiast. Alright, with the cards out of the way, let's talk about the new features that AMD announced. That Infinity Cache that I mentioned previously, that's on all the new cards, helps to minimize DRAM bottlenecks, and according to AMD's slide, may account for up to 40% of the performance improvements seen in RDNA 2. Rage mode is meant to set the power targets and fan curves with a single click. And that sounds convenient, but may only help boost performance by a paltry 1 or 2%. AMD's Smart Memory Access is a way for 5000 series CPUs to directly access the memory of the RX 6000 series cards. This could lead to a 14% improvement in games if this feature is actually used by developers, which remains to be seen. The new GPUs will take full advantage of DirectX 12 Ultimate as well, with features like direct ray tracing, which enables ray tracing on any game that has supported the feature thus far, also variable rate shading, mesh shaders, and direct storage support. That last one may sound familiar because it's very similar to the storage solutions found in both the new Xbox and PlayStation. Since games are being developed for the consoles which take full advantage of this storage technology, it can be assumed that cross-platform games released onto Windows will leverage the feature as well. This could lead to seeing those same insane load times within a game as were being promised on the next-gen consoles. AMD's fidelity effects will bring features such as screen space reflections, ambient occlusion, and a denoiser for games that support ray tracing. As always with these presentations, performance metrics should be taken with a grain or a spoonful of salt. Once reviewers can get their hands on the cards, we will see if AMD rose to the challenge or if they fell flat on their face. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's show, or the thumbs down button if you didn't, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content. I'm here for the tech. Thanks for watching.